are getting. And July month and the August this quarter, we have grown almost 100% year on year. We are adding almost 1 million consumers on a monthly basis at this point in time. So a fantastic journey so far for the brand Motorola. But further ado, let me just talk about what's happening around us in the market. The recent IDs came into the country in February 2014. That's the time when Motorola launched the first generation of Moto G. It was the first online product, right? At that time, the market was more retail oriented. We came into the country and started the online revolution at that point in time with the launch of this great product, the Moto G. Since then, we have launched 5 generations of Moto G. Happy to say that we have more than 7 million happy consumers out there in this country who have been buying from the first generation to the last generation that we launched very recently. But what is so great about the Moto? Why do the consumers love the Moto G? This is truly amazing story that you may want to write, and we talk about that. What is so great about it? And Moto G has always stood for something which is new, innovative, at something which is always very premium, but at a price point that has been in the range that consumers can prefer to afford. But let me step back and talk about the 3 or 4 things that consumers talk about. And I've always talked about the consumer centricity that we have in our organization, that we go back every time to our consumers and ask, what do they love about us, and how can we give that love back to them? Some of the things that come out very strongly, and this runs across the entire the G series as a franchise. First is about the great software, and I think all of you know about it, right? Motorola has always stood for the whole pure Android experience, which is clean, which gives you a very, very good experience on the device. Not just the software, because of that, also on the hardware. There is no slowdown, there is no lag, and you get a complete seamless experience. Whether it's not just about the voice telephony, the whole experiences that you have on your phone, which is whether you are surfing the net or you're on social network or is anything that you're doing on your phone or your devices. The third thing that consumers love about the phone is about the great design, right? And I'm sure many of you and our consumers out there who are watching us love the design of the phone. And I think that's something which is very personal to everybody. Everybody wears different clothes. I mean, design is not just about phone. It's about a personality. It's a reflection of what and who you are, right? I try and wear different dresses every time I'm here, right? It's a reflection of that. So one thing that comes across very, very consistently when we talk to a consumer is about the great design element, and we will take that forward in the next generation that we launch here as well. But that's not all about the Moto G. This is at the crossroad. Moto G stands for, at a crossroad where people are looking for premium experiences, but at a very, very affordable at a price. So that the Moto G franchise stands right there on that line that toes between the premiumness and affordability. You get great features, great functionality, but obviously you can afford to buy the phone. So that's the whole story around the Moto G, and that's why first generation to the generation till now, in India we have sold more than 7 million devices of the Moto G. But let me talk a bit about the history, right? Some of you want to know what has been the journey so far on the generation of the Moto G. This is the first generation of the Moto G. We launched, like I said, in 2014. Great phone, great price, and it was an absolutely amazing success at that point of time. Launched in 2014. We moved on and launched the second generation, and the third generation came out in 2015. This was the first in that price range, the IP67, which means it was both water resistant as well as dust resistant, right? In the price band, which was something which was unique, very, very differentiated at that point in time. Came the G4 Plus in 2016. Yeah, that was last year. We carried the generation forward and looked into what consumers are looking at. And there was the trend that people wanted great pictures, great photographies, something that they wanted to capture all the. And that time, the G4 Plus stood for the fastest camera in its category. And not so long back now, which is the beginning of this year, in March, I remember we launched the G5 series. And some of you who were there or some of you in buying that phone people just love the camera. It was the first or one of the first in that price band with a dual pixel camera, which could give you extremely great pictures that you could capture with. So from the first generation till the fifth generation, there has been a significant innovation in the Moto G franchise from series after series and generation after generation. Well, we are here today to launch, like I said, the special edition of the Moto G5 franchise, the G5s Plus and the G5s. But before we talk more about the product, we ran a consumer engagement program before we came to the event. This was run across the social network. And we talked to a lot of consumers, and we asked them and invited them to talk and tell us about, why they love the Moto G. Okay, and why should they get the next? We got lots and lots of interest from them. There were people who participated. Some talked about camera, some talked about the looks. But let me not talk about it. We have a Navy here to play, and you'll hear directly from some of our consumers what they had to say. Can we have the AV, please?
I've been using a Moto G4 for a long time now, and it's a brilliant phone, I must say. And one thing that I've come to realize is once a Moto G enters a family, all the family members follow suit. This is what has happened in my case. As soon as I bought a Moto G4, my mother loved that phone so much that I had to, within weeks, I had to order one for her as well. Now I love that phone because it has a pure stock Android. Coming from a technical background, this is brilliant for me. This makes the phone really, really fast and really, really responsive.